Hey, I'm Bob Taylor, and I'm here at Wildwood Guitars. You know, I'm here to tell you about some really cool guitars that Steve's ordered. We call them the Wildwood CVs. It's pretty neat. I think if you're a Taylor fan, you've probably heard about the CV bracing. Listen, we've got a cool bracing pattern that we developed, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and it was through some experimentation to do something totally different, but in that process, we came up with an altered shape in the way that we carve the bracing. Don't even ask me why it's called CV, because I don't know. It just landed on that word. It has no significance. It was a project number really at our factory. But that may sound boring, but the sound isn't boring. The thing is about this bracing is it kind of gives an undeniable tonal plus to the guitar. It's richer. And I want to talk in terms of tone for a minute, because I've been noticing a little bit over the years that guitar players are starting to talk about tone in terms of more bass, more treble. But it's not so much, in my mind, a situation of more of this or more of that, but it's kind of like a quality of tone. For instance, if we heard Sheryl Crow sing a song and Josh Groban sing a song, they would sing the same notes, but there would be a different quality to their voices. And there is actually a different quality to the tone of guitars. What we found with CV is it gives a richer tone. Is it louder? Maybe. Is it bassier? Maybe. Is it richer? Yes. It's really cool. It's that sort of undefinable thing that you're trying to listen for with your ears. I'm going to talk a little bit about Adirondack Spruce, because it's a big thing in the industry right now. Okay, quick history. This is the Reader's Digest. Adirondack Spruce grows in the northern part of New York and really is the best spruce for guitars. But it was completely logged out by 1920, 1925, certainly gone by the 30s. The big trees were gone. Guitar makers switched to Sitka spruce, next best thing. People left Adirondack alone for 80 years, and some of the trees that were too small to cut back then or just sort of escaped the hatchet man, some of them are bigger, and there's a little bit of harvesting of that going on. The trees are small. You can make tops out of them, like this 516 Wildwood CV. And I'm going to tell you about the different models here in a minute. But what's cool is Adirondack, the way that it's different in Sitka is I'm going to describe it as being springy. I'm not going to say it's harder. I'm not going to say it's more brittle. I'm not going to say it's stronger. I'm going to say it's more springy. Okay? It's like boing, boing, boing. You want your guitar to boing. You really do. You want this thing to move up and down and have a real great spring to it. And that's kind of the characteristic of this. We've discovered a little bit by accident that by changing bracing to Adirondack, you get about 80% of the tonal improvement that you would get by putting Adirondack tops on as well. In other words, an Adirondack top with Sitka bracing isn't actually going to sound as good as a Sitka top with Adirondack bracing. Therefore, if you can take these smaller trees, cut bracing out of them, you get kind of maximum value, minimum increase in price, and you get really the best bang for your buck as far as tonal improvements. So the CV, the Wildwood CVs are 500s, 600s, 7s, and 8s. And they're the 14 and the 16, or the Grand Auditorium and the Grand Symphony models. Okay? So I'm going to say that again and slow it down. We've got Grand Auditorium, Grand Symphonies in the 5, 6, 7, and 8s. And what's cool about the 500s, and by the way, this is the 500 is a mahogany guitar, which is, I remember Leo Kottke said to me once, the most important thing about a guitar is that it's made out of mahogany, right? So that's what some people who we all respect and know think about mahogany. It has that tone that's open and breathy. If you have a light attack, mahogany's your wood, because it gives up its tone really easily, as opposed to rosewood, which you can get on it harder. I think rosewood is for that person who's got a medium to hard attack. Mahogany's for that person that has that light to medium attack. Not that you can't play this hard, but if you're a player that plays kind of like you saw me opening up with, mahogany's perfect. The Rosewood 800 has a Sitka top on it, along with the 600s, and then the 700 series has got an Engelmann top. So we have Adirondack, Engelmann, Sitka, all of them supported with Adirondack bracing. I'll talk a little bit about the 516 versus a 514. These are CEs, by the way, but what's the quintessential Taylor guitar that everybody sort of knows? 514 CE, 814 CE. Those are the two guitars that really built our company, and I would say that we would have to describe that as the modern acoustic guitar sound. It really is. It departed from the traditional sound that was more bass dominant, became a little bit more clear, bright. When we brought out the Grand Symphony, any of those models ending with a 16, you can kind of think of them as a big, bold strummer. This guitar, I mean, listen to the low end on that. So if you're, now I'm not a great guitar player, that's why I build guitars. But I also think that I play like 80% of the people that buy my guitars, so you guys can relate. Listen to the low end. That's a really great, pure acoustic tone, which really makes me happy when I hear that. So anyways, we've got these models. They're available here at Wildwood Guitars. I'm going to pick up a couple. They're not going to be mic'd, but I can talk about them and show them to you. I'm going to set this one down for just a quick second. All of the maple guitars Steve had us build with quilt. Now, I was talking to him a little bit earlier, and he said, I don't know, Bob, but in my mind, quilt sounds better. It's warmer. It seems softer. Is it a softer wood? And the answer to that is, it's the same hardness as a fiddleback or a flamed grain, but the difference is it's flats on, which makes it softer. Steve was like, I was right. I was totally right. It is softer, and it is. And it gives a little bit warmer tone. It's not quite as, harsh isn't a good descriptor, but it's not as punchy as the other one. It's a little bit warmer. Now, this guitar is out of tune a little bit, and I'm not mic'd, so I'm just going to talk about it. This guitar, when you play it, is going to be scooped a little bit in the middle, and it's fantastic for recording. It's fantastic for cutting through a band. It really has all the right stuff when you're playing this with other players. Even just another guitar player, if you have two guitars that have the exact same tone, you're stepping on each other. If you can change up the body size or the wood style with your guitar playing buddy, you guys are going to harmonize and sound better. So, you know, when you're buying a guitar, buy that guitar that you like, but also buy that guitar that's going to get a lot of playtime with your friends. Because we all know guitar playing is a social event. You're going to play in a band. You're going to play with your friends. You should have the guitar that cuts through. This guitar does a good job of that. And look at that wood. That's kind of ridiculous. Here's another one here that caught my eye. Hello. One had a three-piece, one has a two-piece. A lot of people think, is there a tonal difference? There's not. It really is. It's no more of a sexy story. It's not a sexy story. One has wood that's narrow, one has wood that's wide. That's why we do it. We do it interchangeably. The wood supply now, newsflash, is dwindling a little bit, so we want to use all the trees of all the sizes. Here we're going to look at the 700 series guitar. Look at the Engelmann spruce top on that. Oh my gosh. Who let you have this one? This was supposed to be in my stash. That thing is, that's what we would call creamy white back in the day. And people used to order that to build their barns out of. I saw specs of old homes built in the 1910s, 1920s, and they would spec the 2x4s to be creamy white Engelmann or Adirondack spruce. Crazy, huh? Engelmann grows in the Rocky Mountains, which is fitting for Wildwood guitars here. right in the Rocky Mountains. Look at this, East Indian rosewood. That's a beautiful guitar. The tone of this is kind of mature. Words are a little bit worthless when it comes to describing tone. You have to kind of hear these, but some of these words people have been able to camp on for a while, and they begin to have a little bit of meaning. I like to use the word mature for Engelmann, and the reason is because right off the bat it almost sounds like any guitar that you've played for 5 or 6 years that's sort of matured into itself. It's softer than Sitka Spruce. So it kind of does to the tone the same thing that the flat sawn quilted maple does to a maple guitar. Well, if I were to say, you know, what's the one favorite guitar in the Taylor guitar line, it would have to be kind of any guitar in the 800 series for me. They take me all the way back to the very, very early beginning days of Taylor guitars, when I saw Neil Young playing that 855, when I was making 810s and selling them to people and finding my way into stores for the very first time. It really is the quintessential Taylor. Rosewood, Sitka Spruce, probably my favorite combination of guitars. That's because I like to play guitar with a flat pick, strum, and sing songs, and do that with my friends, do it in my home. And this guitar takes that sort of medium attack that you can give it with a flat pick, and you can get on it real hard. It does a really good job of doing that. I opened with a little bit of finger style. It's not really what I do the most of. Probably 80% of my guitar playing is singing. I played in the worship band in our church for 20 years, and it was, strumming guitars, singing songs every Sunday morning. It was really fabulous. I have an 810 I built in 1978. It's still the guitar I play. I just play it and play it and play it. Look at this. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I'll bet it can. And it's this cross silk, right? Look at that. That's what's called medullary ray in the spruce. If you looked at the end of a spruce log, you would see rays or cells that come out like spokes of a wheel. And when the wood is perfectly cut quarter sawn, which is the very best way that it can be cut for a top, because it's at its stiffest point at that, and the top is more snappy, okay, to make it quick and easy to understand. When you do that, you're actually cutting those, like if you've laid a straw down and sliced it open and held it up. That's what those medullary would be like. Anytime you see this sort of cross, silky looking grain on a top, you know that top is perfectly quarter sawn, because what you're actually seeing is those rays that have been slit like a straw. That's the thing that we grade for primarily with spruce, how quarter sawn it's cut, and then we move in significance past that. I'm going to pick up this, I see another guitar here. Another 600 with a honey sunburst, quilt on the back. That doesn't suck. That's a nice guitar. Let me pick this thing up again and just strum it for you, so we're back to what the main thing about guitars is all about, which is just playing them. There's so much information on guitars right now. People can delve into it so deep that they can't even decide what to buy anymore. And let me break it down. You want to play music. You want to cut through your friends. You want to have a tone that you like yourself. But guitar playing isn't, while it's personal, it's social. Find a guitar that kind of will complement those people that you play with. With the Grand Symphony, you've got a powerhouse. With the Grand Auditorium, you've got a guitar that's going to fit in the pocket any time that you're playing with any person, I guarantee you. With the mahogany guitar, if you play light or medium or by yourself, and I'll tell you what, if you're just starting on guitar, it takes a while to develop a strong right hand. So if you're someone who's just starting out, I can almost always guarantee you're going to love a mahogany guitar, right? And if you're playing in a band pretty much all the time, maples can never be beat. And if you like to play Eagles and John Fogerty, get you a rosewood and a Sitka spruce guitar. I mean, there you go. So it's simplified. These guitars are fantastic. Adirondack Spruce bracing. Let me play a little bit of just some chords. Give Wildwood a call. They're going to take really good care of you.